Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and come back on to comment on another Joseph Campbell quote. I'm reading the book Thou Art That. I'm halfway through it, but he brings up a lot of great stuff to think about, so I have to read these books pretty slow. And there's a really good quote, in essence, that he's saying, and he's talking about the search for the Holy Grail and King Arthur, and how they entered the forest. They didn't go in a group. They entered it individually, at the darkest point, each finding their own way. And this is what he says about it. You enter the forest at the darkest point, where there is no path. Where there is a way, or a path, it's somebody else's path. If you follow someone else's way, you're not going to realize your potential. And friends, a lot of people are afraid to adventure out and use the metaphor to its full potential because they're worried about what orthodox is going to say about it, or they're worried about what is orthodox. And a lot of times, the institution places great pressure on its members to think this way. Why is that? Because it's good for the institution, but maybe not necessarily good for the individual. So, people, or starters of belief systems and religions, have done this very thing. They've entered the forest at its darkest point on their own path. So why not you? You all have the potential to do the same thing. However, a lot of you, if you did, would be labeled a heretic and an apostate. However, I imagine that some who've done this were labeled the same way by their orthodox systems. So all I'm saying is, discover your full potential, and don't get bogged down by these limitations or circles that orthodox confines you to. Because if you're following somebody else's path, it's not your path. And a lot of people maybe are content with following somebody else's path, but maybe it's not their path. And then when they get to the end of their lives, maybe they realize they have not discovered their full potential. So, don't be afraid to stretch your legs, friends. With all the splits into denominations, and all the splits and sects that form out of belief systems, I think people are doing this, but I want to see more splits. People say, oh, we need to be unified. We are unified, friends. You can be unified in the universe and still forge your own way. It's the point where you start defining what that way is for other people that actually holds people back. So, take care, friends. Hope you enjoyed that. And remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking